guys and dolls. So it's all quiet. Got the house to myself. Katie's round at her mum's. The girls are all around there. So just having a wee chill out. I've got a cup of tea and just settling. Um, all good. Like I say, Katie's in labour and, just waiting now. But if she doesn't go tonight or tomorrow, then it's definitely Monday. But just what happened to Tommy today, it's like, I really do worry. Like I've been saying this all along, how much I worry. And I was watching Paz's video and Paz 49. Um, Definitely, he's a man to go to right now. He'll probably be doing follow up videos. He's an ex prison officer, knows the score, knows everything about that prison, and so that would be my go to guys personally right now. I actually forgot about Paz, so I did. When never thought. To be honest with you, couldn't remember what jail he'd worked in. You know what I mean? But he'll have knowledge about all prisons. You know what I mean? But I just want to bring like the prisoner side of things, of what it's actually like, and try and give you an understanding of what Stephen's going through right now. And I'm gonna refer to Tommy Robinson as Stephen because Tommy Robinson's a movement. We've got to understand that this is a human being. You know and he hasn't committed anything, no serious crimes. All he's done is brought the truth. We've got to remember why he's in there, guys. He's not a bank robber, you know. He's not a sex offender, He's not a burglar. He hasn't assaulted anybody or shot anybody, or and he's certainly not a terrorist. You know what I mean? So it doesn't make any sense to me, guys. It's really confusing me why they're doing this now. Like Paz mentioned in his video, and I've mentioned, he's been ghosted. So basically, what's happening is he'll have been sitting in the cell, giving all these reassurances, just like they give the reassurance. He's got his first visit today by Mr. Singh. I'm sure I put his name in the description in my last video. He's got his own YouTube channel, and the he runs through the visit, what he can talk about the visit, and everything was good. Tommy was happy. He's had his TV, and they basically give him a sense false of security. So you got to put yourself in where his head's at right now. You got to understand that if you've got any problems with anybody in prison, it's very easy for it to be sorted out, and you've got to be on your toes. You're constantly waiting for the door to go in. And I mean, when I say the door to go in, I mean the door gets open. Most of the doors all get open at 7. You know what I mean? For people to go to work, get breakfast, go out, get whatever, you know what I mean? Then work parties and all that. So you've got to be on your toes, So there's no way he would survive in that environment, you know what I mean? Because the amount of money that's been put on his head, it's ridiculous. We all know that, and the government and all that know that. And basically, he's sitting there thinking he's semi-safe. Now, he's still got to be careful where he was because of the food situation and everything, and he still had to have a head on a swivel. But what would have happened, probably first thing this morning or this afternoon, he would have been looking forward to something, because I know what they're like. And this door would open. Now, this is the way it works. So the van would have came, and head of operations would have knew what was going on, but that would have been as far as it wouldn't have went down any further. And the van would have came, and head of operations would have told the wing principal officer or senior officer, whichever one it is, to go and get Stephen, bring him out of his cell, and bring him down to reception. Now, that's all that the prison officers would know, right? So even though Stephen would be going, what's happening, where am I going, you know what I mean? They'll be going, we've just been told to bring you to this reception. So the fact that he's going to reception, he's going to work out, he's being moved. So you got to understand the fear that would have been going through his head. Where are they moving me to? You know what I mean? You got to understand the fear of what it's like to have the establishment knowing that they want you unlived. The best thing can happen for the Labour Party right now if something was to happen to Tommy Robinson in so many ways. So he knows that, because he's not stupid. He knows that. Believe you me, he probably knows it a lot longer and more than I know it. I'm just starting to awaken totally to I know what they're like because of Northern Ireland. We've had prisoners killed in Northern Ireland inside the prison, and cameras were turned off and stuff like that, And I'm not going to mention his name because it's just, I'm going to stop doing that because, I've got to think about other people's family members that are still here, and I don't think about that. I don't think I'm new to it, and I'm learning, and I apologize to anybody in the past who maybe I've mentioned somebody's name that is no longer here, and it's maybe brought back memories or it's just affected me. I really apologize. I don't mean that in any way, but it has happened in Northern Ireland in our prisons, and it is like, how did that happen? You know what I mean? Top security jail in Northern Ireland, but it, so I know how it works. I know if they want you, they'll get you, and that concerns me. So he knows that. That's what he's feeling going down that reception. And then he gets in the reception. He's got all his belongings because he won't have much because he's just arrived, remember? And he's just finished doing his phone call list and his visit list, and he's had his first visit. He's starting to make his phone calls, and he's waiting for his emails to drop because they've got to go through them first. And the next thing, he's moving, right? So just that bit there alone can do a lot to a man's head, believe you me. Believe you me, just that one little bit. So then, they're not going to tell him. They're not going to say to him as he's getting on the bus, on the horse box, where he's going. That's not, they don't, because they say it's a security thing, because he could have a phone on him and he could phone somebody in there and they could come and stop the bus because they know exactly where the horse box is going to. I'm talking about the horse boxes with the little square windows that you see in court. That's what they would have moved him in, okay? They would have moved him in one of them, something similar to that, but he wouldn't have any, probably, even if it was even worse than that, could in the back. I've been moved back and forth to court for 3 weeks in the back of a police box in a metal container with no windows or nothing. You know what I mean? Just rattling along, not knowing where I'm going, not seeing any bands getting thrown about the back, no seat belts, nothing like that. I don't know if it's changed now, but that was in 2002, 2003. So I know for a fact he'll be in a horse box and he might be able to see out the window. I doubt it. And he won't know where he's going until that horse box rolls up, and he'll he'll know him going through the big doors. He'll know when he's going into the jail because he'll hear the screws, the sorts and everything that goes on, anything coming in out of prison. And then he's going to come out and he's going to know straight away where he is because it's going to say HMP. And believe you me, the amount of dread that's going to hit him coming off that bus, guys, because he doesn't know what's coming. He doesn't know what's coming. He doesn't know what's happening in reception. He could be walking in that reception and there could be 10 Muslim men there because we now know this jail is run by Muslim gangs, So he knows what jails have got the worst Muslim gangs in them. We all do. And this is one of them. This is one of them, and this is where they've put him. And, I would watch Paz's last video about it. So I would, because I don't like repeating what he said because it's his video, But I'm giving him credit for like what he's saying about like how bad the jail is and that. Obviously, I've watched a couple of videos and I've spoke to a couple of mates as well, and it's always good to get it from an ex-prison officer. If I'm honest, it's a really good source, and Paz is a really good source of information, and that's why he does so well, And so he's going in the reception and his head's on a swivel. He doesn't know what's coming. He's testing the waters, and it will be scary for him, And then they're saying to him, this is what's going to happen. I'll tell you exactly what's happened. So he's walked into that jail, just like the last jail, and they went, you're going in A-wing. And because this is what they have to do. And then he's went, I'm not going in A-wing. I'm not lasting an hour in A-wing. And then he goes, well, if you don't go in A-wing, you got to go in the SEG. Okay? And that's where he is, apparently. Now, I know they have another unit there, for high profile, like for and all that, but there's no way he's going to go into that. It would be perfect if they took everybody else off it, but they're not going to do that. So basically, I think what's going to happen is just like Paz 49 has said, we're all going to email this place, and then they're going to move him again. And we're probably going to cause more harm than good, And it's not our fault, because this will be the system saying we had to move them because we're getting inundated with emails, So I think Tommy's team need to think very carefully their next moves and what their steps, because we don't want to cause any more harm. There has to be some sort of agreement come with the government, because this is getting ridiculous. This is trolling on another level. And I'm going to take you back. you've got to remember what he's in for. He's not a criminal. He hasn't broken any laws, really. He made a couple of mistakes because he's a young documentary maker making his way in the world of journalism, you know. And, he didn't pick this job. This job fell in his lap because of the circumstances. He couldn't get a normal job. His life's been at risk for the last 10, 15 years. And it was a perfect fit. And just like outside the other court when he asked them guys how they felt about their guilty verdict, and he broke the the rule where they weren't allowed to report on the court case. But you've got to understand, you've got to look at this logically, guys. This was grooming gangs. This was mostly Pakistani men who were grooming young girls in cities, right? And there was a media blackout, and the judge had a reporting ban. Why is this? Why? It doesn't make any sense. And if you're going to do that, why highlight it all by doing that to Tommy? Nothing makes any sense to me at all. The government know by what they're doing to Tommy, what they're doing. They're lifting them up. They're bringing up a following. The right wing has risen. And there probably is people not as educated that you could maybe label as far right only because they don't know. They're waking up in the middle of all this, and some people are just finding out about the grooming gangs, believe it or not. I know, it's unbelievable. But just because you know, it does make it difficult to understand that there's still a lot of people that haven't got a clue because there's been media silence. Unless you're educated with the internet and know your way about social medias and how to look at different sites apart from Google, then you're not going to hear very much about anything. And that's just the truth of it. So there is a lot of people springing up that are, I'm going to do a video about it because I need to bring awareness about this as well to some guys that are coming up, and getting led astray. They're missing the point, you know what I mean? Tarring Fallon and everybody with the same brush, and my wee saying it's happening all the time. It'll happen every time anything like this happens because people don't stop to think that there's, it's not about Muslims, it's not about immigration, it's Pacific, and you need to know about it. You need to have a wee bit of sense about it, but I will cover that, you know what I mean? But, this is what I'm trying to let you think what it's like for the man right now, for that young man, Stephen, who's got children and family. What's going through his head right now, how his body's coping with the stress and the not knowing of what's coming next, being ghosted from one jail to another, knowing that there's Muslim gangs in every jail with big, massive bounties. Whoever gets them is going to get a payday from all sorts of gangs and organised criminals. And, these guys are moving quite a lot of the heroin in and out of this country. They control it. I keep telling you, powder power. Our criminals haven't got a chance anymore. The days of the any British ODCs is gone. You know what I mean? That's all gone. Organised crime is now people coming into this country, and it's all different types of people coming in. It's all people from all different countries have different gangs and control different parts, and you would be shocked if you knew half of it. You know what I mean? I can't even tell you half of it. Some of the stuff that I know that's moving about, it's absolutely frightening. So you just think about it. If they're able to move like kilos of whatever, what else are they able to get in there? You think about it, So it's quite scary, the kind of things that's going on in Great Britain right now. And Labour are oblivious. Absolutely oblivious. As long as these people vote for them, they don't care. That's what it feels like, you know what I mean? So, yeah, Stephen's got all this on top of his head, on top of his sentence, on top of missing his family, and on top of doing a sentence for something that nobody's ever got time for. For some, that's nuts, and the whole thing, the whole film highlighted how a young British boy at 15 was persecuted by our government, and who was behind all the council in the area, and who got paid off to be kept silent, and how Piers Morgan came out and slaughtered a young 15-year-old boy, one of our own working class lads. And that's what Tommy highlighted, and he proved it without any doubt. He proved it that that young boy Bailey was set up, and that other boy was lifted up on a pedestal that he should never have been lifted up on. And Tommy Robinson brought that and saved that young boy Bailey. And you know what? Tommy Robinson would do 10 years to save a young 15-year-old boy. Anybody in this country would save him. He would do that time. He really would, to save any young man. Who wouldn't? If you could stop something what that young Bailey was going through, if you could stop that and prove that all the governments and the European Union, you've seen the film, guys. You have seen the film, right? Silenced. It's on X, and that's why Tommy's in prison. You know, that's why Tommy's being moved from Belmarsh to Woodhill. That's why Tommy right now is probably suffering serious mental health injuries and damage because of where he is and because of what the government are doing to him. And they're aware, just like they were aware of Peter Lynch. They don't care. They do not care. And I don't have the answers, guys. You know, I'm just trying to bring it these. Could you understand how bad this is from a prisoner's point of view? What it feels like, just to be a prisoner being ghosted. It's hard work. Never mind having people wanting to kill you, and everywhere you land, and knowing that it would suit the government perfectly, because then we would all come out on the streets. The government would bring in all these rules to be able to shut down all our social medias and call us all domestic terrorists. You know, and it's putting the nail in the coffin. That's the saying of the day here. Like, that's what would happen. That would be the aftermath of something happening to Tommy Robinson. It would put the nail in the coffin for us, you know. And I just hope, you know, and pray to God he's safe, you know. But I've been going on and banging on and banging on. I am extremely worried, extremely worried. And I know I've got problems with my own mental health, and I do worry about stuff like that. I've always been a worrier, like that kind of thing. And maybe it's because I've experienced the prisons in England at such a young age, at 18, and it's sort of stuck with me, what I went through. And I know how violent it was. You know, I've seen violence on another level. You got to understand, in Northern Ireland, I never seen knives or blades or anything like that. People just shot each other, and I'm not being funny, but it wasn't like people fought with their fists. If somebody was to pull a knife out, that person that pulled the knife out would be shot, because that's wrong. It's naughty. You don't do that. If you want to fight, you fight with your fists. It's as simple as that. You know, that's how I've been brought up. I'd never experienced violence on the level I've experienced as 18 years old in Aylesbury prison. You know what I mean? Full of young black guys from London, and it's nothing about colour. It was just it was 70% black Londoners, and they were just nuts. I'm sorry, but they were really, really violent, and they were really, really racist. There's no two ways about it, you know. That's the God's honest truth. It doesn't make a difference to me. You know, that's just the way they were. Them particular guys, they were gangsters, street thugs, whatever you want to call them, from the streets of London in the 90s, you know. And that's how they came across to me. I'm sorry, I'm not going to do that. But I wouldn't ever let that affect my feelings towards any of my other friends that are black. You know what I mean? Of course not. But I'm just telling you my experience. You know what I mean? That's not even a problem now, you know what I mean? And I'm not going to sit here and go, but I was really friends with some of them, and I met other guys in other jails that were brand new, because of course I did. You know, I'm talking about Aylesbury. Aylesbury was a long-term prison, for long-term prisoners, guys doing over 4 years, right? So it was a long-term prison for young offenders. So two things you got to take out of that. Every single one of us were really young, and every single one of us were doing a good wee bit of sentence. You know, I was only doing 6 years. My mate that was in the IRA was doing 8 years, but there was big sentences in that jail, so there was, and they were mental. And I seen people taking lumps at each other across the gangways, because it's a Victorian jail, and I can't describe how bad it was. Horrific. I've seen some really horrific things in England, believe you me, and maybe that's the problem, because I've experienced that. That's why I worry so much about him, you know. But I need to bring it to you of what he's actually going through, and you know, his family will know this because they've been through this with him before, so they will all be sitting there, all his friends, his loved ones will know what I'm telling you, what you don't know, what you now know. They already know all this. They've been through all this with him so many times. This isn't a one-off, guys. This has been going on in his life for a long time. This is trauma on top of trauma on top of trauma. How much trauma can this man take? Honestly, like, how much trauma? How much trauma are the government going to put on this guy? For what crime has he done? What has Stephen Yaxley Lennon done to deserve this from our government? Somebody please tell me what he's done. Because I cannot make head or tail of this. I've been following him for 15 years. And the only thing he has done is tell us exactly what's happening today, that it was happening 15 years ago in his town. Right? And for some reason, it's gone from his town to the whole of England and Ireland and parts of Scotland. And now everybody's saying what Tommy was saying or Stephen was saying 15 years ago. So are we all going to get persecuted like him? Because all we're saying now, exactly what he was saying then, you know, and you have persecuted the man for it. Called him racist, called him far right, called him a thug because he went to the football. I went to the football. We all went to the football. That's what you told us. Drink beer, go to the football. You know, that was what that's what we were brought up with, you know. Gamble, drink, football. That's what young men in Britain were brought up with, you know. And of course there's going to be argy-bargies. Of course you're going to get gangs and all that. It's tribal. You know, it happens Glasgow, Belfast, the Tartans. You know what I mean? It's like, it happens all over Britain. It's no big deal. And the mortgage fraud, come on. You know what I mean? Mortgage fraud, helping his cousin out. Filled the form out wrong. Left some details out. You know what I mean? And, yeah, I might have took a bit of Charlie in this day. Here, how many politicians are still taking Charlie today? You know what I mean? And that's it. That's the crimes that man's committed, and that's what he's getting today. You know, the reason why he's getting punished is because he's bringing us the truth, and we need to pay attention to that. That's what we need to pay attention. The fact that he's bringing us the truth. Nobody's perfect in this world. Not one person. There's not one man can cast that first stone, because all of us have got sin. But I tell you what, not any man deserves anything close to what that man's getting. You know, we look after sex offenders better. We're looking after terrorists better right now. Believe it or not, we really are. That's why they're running the jails. I'm Freedom Dad. Thanks for getting this far, and God bless every one of you.